We get a lot of mail here at WeWillWhatcom.com. You can send us your thoughts at info@WeWillWhatcom.com. A lot of love letters, some that aren't so nice. And just the other day, we received an email from Robert at the Bellingham Herald. Now, this is an important email because he's asking us questions about who we are and our movement. And I'm just going to read you verbatim Robert's email, and then I'm going to read you our response to that email. Robert writes on Thursday, January the 21st, "Hi, WeWill. I'm writing about local pushback against Safe Start and COVID-19 restrictions. What's your position with WeWill Whatcom? How many members does WeWill Whatcom have? How and when did it start, and what would you describe the mission or intent? Are the fundraising events, such as the one at Herb Neiman's in Everson and Leader Block in Ferndale this week, being held indoors against the Safe Start restrictions, or are they outside in keeping with the guidelines? Do the events benefit the businesses holding them, or is it a donation to WeWill? Whatcom County Health Department data shows COVID-19 cases rising sharply in Whatcom County, especially Linden and North County. The health director has pleaded with people to stop spreading the disease in gyms, restaurants, social gatherings for fear that the rate of hospitalization and death will grow. COVID-19 effects are worse mostly in the elderly, but people of color and others of all ages suffer deadly attacks seemingly at random." I'm reading a reporter's. This is how he's writing it. It's terribly difficult to read. "Do you feel a responsibility to help the rest of the community by following health guidelines such as masking and not dining indoors? Thanks, Robert." So that's Robert's writing, and it needs some grammatical work to say the least, but we took it seriously and we spent some time on a response to Robert, and we've published this and we're sharing this with you now, and we'll be posting this as soon as it's ready and in a blog post as well, so that you can see exactly our side of the conversation with Robert and go look for on the Bellingham Herald at some point, I suppose, an article written by Robert, and then compare the two, how he represents what we told him and how we're representing it verbatim, which we will again be posting directly to the blog. Here is what we responded to him on January 22nd. "Robert, which of the governor's plans are you writing about? It's easy to lose track. There's been so many. First there was Stay Home, Stay Healthy, then Washington's Recovery Plan, then Safe Start Washington, then Mask Up to Open Up, and now we're on Healthy Washington." So Robert, if you're writing about Safe Start Washington, then your article is about 9 months too late. If you're writing about Healthy Washington, now that's the latest one, where Inslee has reorganized the state into unelected Hunger Games regions on January the 5th, dismantling the local control of cities and counties in favor of the state dictating when regions are allowed to open up. Now, this plan is purporting to be a reopening plan, but it immediately elicited this response from Chris Johnson, president of the Association of Washington Businesses. And it reads, quote, "This new plan is intended to offer a roadmap for reopening the economy, but it's an incomplete plan at best, with a destination that remains out of reach for too many small businesses struggling to survive the pandemic. Impacted employers need the ability to reopen today," that's January 5th she wrote this, "at the minimum 25% capacity with appropriate safety measures, not a new system with a new set of metrics. It's unfortunate that this plan doesn't currently provide a pathway to reopening beyond 25% capacity for those businesses impacted or closed, and it fails to spell out a way for businesses to fully reopen. We fear that this will only make it harder for many communities, employers, and families to begin the long process of rebuilding," close quote. Also, the Washington Hospitality Association President and CEO Anthony Anton released a statement on the 5th as well, saying in his intro, "Today's announcement is not a roadmap to recovery. It is a roadmap to near complete collapse of Main Street neighborhood restaurants and the hospitality businesses," close quote. Now, I asked Robert, did you report on this devastating assessment by Anthony, or did you see his in-depth discussion on the governor's plan in his January 6th podcast? Now, we've got links to all of this that'll be posted along with this video in the description and on the blog post for this at WeWillWhatcom.com. You're going to want to click on especially Anthony's podcast, hour long, but well worth the listen. I continue in my response to Robert here. "A day before the governor's announcement, Robert, on the 4th, a pub in Burlington posted a 36-second video tour of their outdoor pavilion establishment with massive garage doors on 3 sides that had been approved to stay open by liquor control, but shut down by L&I because their outdoor space was a permanent structure instead of a temporary one. The story went viral, got a ton of Seattle media coverage, engendered a ton of public support, and prompted such a backlash against L&I that they quietly released revised guidelines on January 11th, updating what structures were allowed to host outdoor dining. Bars and restaurants across the state are likely all evaluating if this revision is applicable to them, so hoping that they might be able to open up their establishments to the winter weather in order to open up their doors for customers. Robert, were you aware of this change by L&I? Good news, Robert, I continue in this email response to him. Robert, you may have a breaking news story on your hands with this quiet L&I revision, as it appears doubtful that Herald readers know much about that rule change, given the ignorance evidenced by likely many Herald readers in the Facebook comment sections of the brave businesses that are announcing that they intend to open up for indoor and outdoor dining per the new L&I revisions. Now, I've got a question for you, Robert, I continue. How many Whatcom County bars and restaurants and gyms and bowling alleys have you interviewed, both staff and owners? Do you know how many businesses in the area are at or past their limit, burned through any savings they had, taken out second mortgages on their homes to keep their businesses alive, with the dimming hope that they will ever be able to open soon? Have you written about any of those businesses, Robert? Have you spoken with the people that those businesses used to employ, the people who love their jobs and want to go back? Have you talked with anyone working in the industries that support the shutdown businesses and how this is impacting them and the other downstream businesses and jobs? Now, Robert, I continue, maybe you've already covered stories like this. I wish I could say that I've read your work in the Herald, Robert, but it's just hard to justify paying for a paper that's largely written with such bias that it only appeals to half the county population. Now, I'll tell you what, Robert, here are 5 free story primers for you that will help you expand your base of readers. Most of the work has already been done on these stories. Just write up the transcripts and post with the videos. You don't even need to add us to the byline because we don't care to receive the credit. We only care that everyone sees the downstream devastation caused by an unchecked governor and a capricious and arbitrary shutdown of the select sectors of our economy. I then list the restaurants that WeWill has gone out and profiled, including Paso del Norte up in Blaine, Herb Neiman's out in Everson, Tony's Tavern out in Custer, and a bar in Bellingham that actually was scared to even go on the record for fear of local retribution for people in the neighborhood. And there's many more stories that you can see on our YouTube channel. Go to WeWillWhatcom.com, follow the link over to our YouTube channel, and watch and share our latest profiles. But here, let's continue with this letter to Robert. Robert, you asked who we are. We are the people that used to eat in those restaurants. We used to drink in those bars, bowl and skate in those alleys and rinks, and we used to work out in those gyms. We used to celebrate birthdays there, cheer up our friends there, build stronger bodies and relationships there, and solve all of the world problems there. But when the governor decided to arbitrarily shut down the hubs of our communities in November, we came together like we always did before. But this time, Robert, in the form of peaceful protests, happy rallies, and in defense of our friends and neighbors. There's no membership at WeWill, no elected leadership, no money's been collected or dispersed. We are an all-volunteer group of parents, neighbors, business owners, community leaders, and concerned citizens. We are standing up for our kids who've been kept out of school, the schools that our taxes pay for. We are standing up for our personal freedoms and liberties, and we're standing up for our small businesses who have been unfairly targeted and repressed by the governor. We're promoting solutions for the impacted. We're promoting businesses and rallying the community to support those businesses directly. And we're promoting personal responsibility and choice. What we want is simple, Robert. We want for the governor to end the state of emergency, to rescind his proclamations, and to open the state back up fully now. Let the people be personally responsible for themselves and make their own decisions on how to best live their lives. And to protect the small segment of the population that C-19 is truly a concern for. Robert, there's no need for any more stimulus, loans, or grants. We just need the state to open up. The recovery will be long and hard, given all of the damage the government overreaction has caused. But we will recover, and we will start just as soon as the boot of the government is lifted off of our neck. But, should the governor persist, so shall we. Thanks, Robert. Hope you enjoy our response. Look forward to reading about it in the Herald. Everybody else that's watching this video, please click through to the link to the blog, read the letters in their entirety, and share this video with anybody else you'd care to, along with all the other great profile videos that we're putting up on our YouTube channel. And we'll bring you more letters to the mailbag in the next week.